I have to say, out of all Mario spin-offs, Mario Strikers is probably the one I least expected to cover for one of these hidden lore videos. They are so multiplayer and gameplay driven, to the point Battle League on Nintendo Switch barely had any single player content in it. And while I will agree with the popular opinion that the games have never felt as empty as they did on Switch, the fact of the matter is that neither Super Mario Strikers on GameCube, or Mario Smash Football if you're from Europe, or Mario Strikers Charged on Wii were packed to the brim with content. The original had a mode where you went through the cups, similar to Mario Kart, and you could play loose matches of course, but that was really about it. Charged expanded on this, although it definitely didn't add a story to its Road to the Strikers Cup mode, as it was now called, and instead decided to inject a sense of world building into a brand new mode, Strikers Challenges. This is for all intents and purposes a mission mode, with each of the 12 characters having a challenge you must face for a reward, which will unlock a new cheat. Honestly, great reward. It fits the theme of the game as a more lawless Mario game and was a nice throwback to the days of old when cheats were much more common in video games than they were in 2007 when this game launched. But we're not here to talk about cheats. This is about fair play and Nintendo's everlasting compulsion to build in some sort of explanation for anything that happens. Like these challenges. Most games would probably just say, oh, you're one goal behind, turn it around. But Strikers Charged goes a step further. Not only are the opponents for every character carefully chosen and thus can be used as a further indication of how the relationships in the Mario franchise lie, the descriptions of the challenges also hint at a much larger Mario Strikers world than I ever imagined. Apparently, the crew does this fairly often. Take Mario for example, and his brilliantly titled challenge, Till Sudden Death Do Us Apart. And while that would have been a great name for a Mario and Peach duel, Mario's chosen rival for this match is actually Donkey Kong, which is odd to be honest. At this point in the Mario franchise, Donkey Kong was no longer Mario's main rival, it had been Bowser for over 10 years. We also saw earlier with the Mario Kart video though, that the Mario vs Donkey Kong rivalry has still been lingering in the spin-offs much longer than the main series games, and Strikers Charged furthermore fits that pattern. The accompanying text mentions this game takes place in the Banana Cup, which may sound innocent, but has actually never existed in-game in any of the Strikers games. Based on the name, I think it's fair to assume Donkey Kong organizes these himself, which would also explain why he is the, and I quote, defending champion. I find it so crazy that this little side mode basically outright confirms the Mario cast run football tournaments the entire year round, including some we can't even play in-game. Because the Banana Cup is definitely not an exception, there are many more as we'll see later in the video. But I want to stick with the natural order of these challenges, and that means Luigi is up next and he has no cup mentioned in his blurb, which might have an unexpected reason. According to his challenge, Sibling Rivalry, Luigi is a man down in the fight against his brother Mario, with the last place in the next round up for grabs. But here's the thing, how do you go a man down in Mario Strikers? We have characters getting electrocuted by the second, bombs fly all over the field, you can ram into your opponent without the play ever getting stopped, so how on earth do you manage to go a man down? I guess it could be injury, although in real life football you would be allowed a substitution, so the more likely case is a red card. And if that's the case, I don't really want to know what that guy did to get sent off in Mario Strikers. It must have been truly disturbing. Next up is Donkey Kong's challenge, which is a very interesting one for two reasons. First of all, his game is set against Petey Piranha, who wouldn't be my immediate guess for a Donkey Kong rival. I mean, Diddy Kong is in his game. But this is actually the only rivalry in the entire challenge network that is mutual. Petey Piranha's mission, Tag Team Tussle, is also against Donkey Kong, which seems to suggest that these two may have a bit of a sporting rivalry going on. And if you have a good memory or just find out what video to watch after this one, you may recall from my Mario Baseball video that Donkey Kong and Petey Piranha had surprisingly good chemistry in Mario Superstar Baseball, which further suggests these two have some sort of bond, without ever seemingly interacting in the main games. Another interesting detail of DK's challenge is that this match is said to be the final of the Lightning Cup, which is again a brand new, never before seen cup, as well as confirmation that Donkey Kong is really good at Mario football. Reigning champion of the Banana Cup, finalist of the Lightning Cup, and according to Petey's challenge, also a finalist of the Super Mushroom Cup. It's quite the list of honors. I mean, DK also constantly uses his hands while playing, but I guess that's tolerated. Another interesting detail here that we should definitely not ignore is the aforementioned Super Mushroom Cup. Unlike the Lightning and Banana Cup, this is actually not a newly introduced cup, but instead one that appeared in the first Mario Strikers and was then ditched for Charged. Interestingly enough, it does appear the format has changed. In the original game, the Super Mushroom Cup uses a league table system to decide its winner, meaning there is no final, as mentioned in PD Piranha's challenge. As something remarkably similar happens for the next challenge in the game, Battle for the Crown, a duel between the two princesses Peach and Daisy. This match is said to be a group stage battle in the Star Cup, with a place in the knockout stages on the line. And once again, while the Star Cup did previously appear in Super Mario Strikers, it was purely a league table, without any knockout matches to decide the winner. Another neat thing about this challenge, aside from the fact it clearly plays into the well-established Peach and Daisy friendship, is that it is also one of the few moments in the franchise that plays into the goal difference rule set from real-life football. I think it has now made its way into basically every sport it could possibly work for, so I imagine you know what it means, but it actually originates from football and was first used at the 1970 World Cup as a tiebreaker. The challenge references this rule by saying Peach needs to win by at least 5 goals to beat out Daisy's goal difference and get ahead of her in the table. And speaking of Daisy, her challenge sees Waluigi take up the role of fairly fitting rival. This match introduces us to the previously unknown Leaf Cup, which is apparently Daisy's bread and butter. The text mentions she has won the Brick Wall Award in this tournament for 5 consecutive years, which means she has been the team to concede the least goals at the tournament. More importantly, from a lore and world building perspective though, this is the first and only time it is implied a cup is held yearly. All other challenges don't have any mention of time whatsoever, even when referencing previous editions. That happens for example with Bowser, who faces Peach in the final game of the once again brand new Conga Cup, seemingly another DK organized tournament named after the Conga Coliseum, one of the stadiums in the game. He is 1 away from the record of 8 consecutive clean sheets, which means you don't concede even a single goal during a match. Interestingly enough, this blurb also nicknames Peach the Pink Powerhouse, which is a name that has never appeared before, as well as literally the only nickname to appear in any of these challenges. Next, a bit of a quick fire round past several challenges that don't have too many interesting things to note about them to really highlight, like Waluigi. His rival is Luigi, as you would expect, and aside from mentioning the never before seen Storm Cup, which is undoubtedly derived from Thunder Island, where this game takes place, there is not a whole lot to say about it. Yoshi's rival is Wario, a rarely seen pairing, in a match that takes place in another cup named after a stadium. The Sand Cup clearly refers to the Sand Tomb, the setting of this game, which actually has several pillars next to it that contain sprites from the original Donkey Kong, Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario World. Yoshi has really put himself into a bad place here, and is trailing by 5 goals in the semi-final of the tournament, so calling him the Dark Horse, as the blurb does, is definitely a little generous, I would say. Wario's challenge takes place at the final match of the Super Cup, which is a very intriguing cup name. Like we touched on earlier with the Super Mushroom Cup, cups with a super adjective did appear in the original Mario Strikers, but none was outright named Super Cup. Another noteworthy thing here is that a Super Cup is also an actual term from real-life football, where it usually means a title match between a cup winner and a league winner, or at least a match between 2 title-winning teams. It is possible that is what's meant here, meaning Wario and his admittedly strange rival Diddy Kong have both won a piece of silverware. In fact, there is more evidence to suggest Diddy Kong, just like that other Kong, is a quite successful figure in the Mario Striker circuit. According to his own challenge, which pits him against Yoshi, meaning Wario, Diddy and the Green Dinosaur effectively form a rivalry triangle, he has the opportunity to set the record of becoming the fastest to reach 100 goals. Sure, he needs 7 in this match alone, which is a lot, but it's nothing you can do, right? And finally, we have arguably the most interesting flavor text of all these challenges, Bowser Jr. First of all, his rival is Bowser, interestingly enough, and while I definitely get the appeal of a father-son rivalry, the blurb calls them arch-rivals, which goes a bit far if you ask me. The match is set to be the final of the Mushroom Cup, which was the very first tournament from the original Mario Strikers. Not only did Bowser Jr. not appear in that game, the Mushroom Cup also was another that didn't previously have a final, only a league table. But here is the most interesting part of all. Bowser Jr. has received a harsh penalty from the league organization for cheating. He was found guilty of sabotaging the items in the previous semi-final match, which has resulted in him now not being allowed to use any against this old man. Not only is this literally the only time the organization and governing body of the competition has ever been mentioned, I also feel like they're quite lenient. How is sabotaging the items not grounds for disqualification? We don't know who he beat in the semi-final, but I can't imagine they'll be too pleased about that decision. Maybe they were allowed to then write the blurb, since its final sentence refers to Bowser Jr. as a little pest. Harsh, but not exactly undeserved. And with that, we have every challenge covered. What are your thoughts on this expanding of the Mario world? And what are your theories for the mysteries that remain? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel to stay updated on all my future Mario content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.